anyone who joins us later on in the YouTubes, just know that we are starting in a standing position, and I have a little blanket handy as a prop. Not necessary, but if you like a blanket, it might become beneficial. So start with your feet hip or shoulder distance apart, just whatever feels good, in a soft stance. So soft knees, soft feet, soft arms, even give your arms a little wiggle so that they feel soft and heavy at your side. If it feels comfortable to do so, close your eyes. But if it doesn't feel good and balanced, just soften your gaze and stare at a point at the floor. So whichever hold of your eyes feels better to you, and then just take a moment to allow your body to settle into this stance. Shoulders are soft and heavy. Let go of your belly. So if you're holding your belly in or keeping a bit of posture, let your belly go, let your shoulders soften, let your hands be heavy. And then once you've got that soft sense of heaviness, we're going to take it into that little rock the baby sway. So we're just going to bend one knee and then the other, keep it soft and light and loose. So it doesn't need to be extreme. You don't need to go any super depth, but just allow one knee to bend and then the other. And then think of this as a soft and fluid motion. So the belly is still soft, arms are still soft. And if it feels okay to be there, maybe you close your eyes down. But if that movement doesn't allow you to feel balance, keep your eyes open. Take one or two more little sways side to side. And then as you come back to the center, soft knees, soft feet, soft arms, soft hands. Take a nice full breath in. Nice slow breath out. Bring one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart, and then pause here for a moment to set an intention. Setting an intention to honor your mind and your body throughout your practice. Never doing anything in your practice that would cause your body pain. And treating yourself with love, care, and respect. With that intention set, eyes open, start to step your feet to a comfortable wide distance. So we're going to go into that wide leg forward fold with a dangle. And then just if you're working from home, if a shoulder over would feel good, grab a strap or interlace your fingers. That'll be totally up to you. I'm definitely not going to do that because we did a lot of shoulder work today in our Mix It Up class. But so from here, we're going to take it into a fold. You can start by softening your knees so you can let your hands find the ground. And then straighten your legs just as much as feels good. And then once you've got your way into that folded position, take a moment to just make sure your legs feel like they're at a comfortable distance. Make sure your feet feel like they're comfortable on the ground. And then if you like, you can walk your feet super, super wide so elbows and forearms come all the way down to the ground. And you could also use a yoga block to help bring the floor up to meet you if that feels a little bit more supported. So any other position that might feel good and beneficial. But then what we want to try to do is see if we can just let the crown of the head relax down towards the ground. If you're holding on or lifting your head, gazing forward just to see what's going on, now see if you can let all of that go. If at any point you get into this position and you realize this is not the place for you energetically tonight, you always have the option to sit right onto your butt. Nice wide leg forward fold in a seated position is nice too. But here we want to think about focusing on letting the spine decompress. So crown of the head heavy, arms soft and supportive. Take a quick moment just to assess if you've started to pick up any tension. Maybe you lifted your head slightly. See if you can let go. Think about letting go from the low back, down the spine, across the tops of the shoulders, arms nice and heavy, back of the neck is soft and relaxed. We've got about 30 seconds left on our hold here. But just so you know, from this position, we are going to find our way into an easy seated position or sitting on our bottoms. So you decide if you want to come up and out of the fold or if you just want to come down to the ground. You'll just choose whichever way of coming out of this pose will work good for you. Take one more breath here. And then up or down, totally up to you, but start to find your way out of this position. You might choose to come up to a standing position, just take it into a big yawn, or just take it right down to the ground, just totally up to you, whatever feels good. But we're gonna come down into an easy seat or crisscross applesauce. And if you have a blanket or a pillow or a yoga block that you like to sit on, go ahead and get that arranged underneath your butt. This is going to be a side bend, but we're going to take it into a side bend with a lean. So we're going to lean off to the side. Arm is going to stretch up and overhead, and then we're going to let the side that you're leaning up and out of, let that butt cheek lift up off the ground. So we're going to think about reaching through the top arm, but then we're going to let that hip get nice and heavy towards the earth. So if that feels a little bit wonky with the leg, maybe you take a blanket and tuck it under that leg so it feels a little bit supported, but we want to think about letting the side of your glutes get nice and heavy towards the ground. So find that position first. And then once you're there, just allow your awareness to come back to breath. So see if you can tune in and notice breath in the side of your body. And especially in this leaned over position, you can just really let that top hand get nice and heavy. So let it just land wherever it lands. And then don't worry about forcing that hand to hold any position. Just let it be wherever it lands. We're just about halfway through our hold on this side. So if that upper hand has gotten a little too heavy, you always have the option to release it. The hip is still a little bit lifted. So you might lose a little bit of sensation through the upper part of the side body, but that hip should still be pretty heavy. But if it feels okay to keep your arm just as it is, go ahead and leave it there. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, slowly, slowly, slowly start to bring yourself up. So you might think about pushing into that bottom hand to lift yourself up, release that top arm, and then give everything a good shrug and a wiggle. Shrug out your shoulders, move your head and neck a little bit, work out any of that stuff that you may have come across, and then just kind of move it around a little bit so it doesn't get stuck anywhere. Then once you feel like you're ready, we're going to switch the cross in our legs just for a little bit of balance and symmetry. So if it feels comfortable enough to do so, switch the cross in your legs, and then we're going to lean over to the other side. So elbow and forearm down on the ground if that feels like a nice way to be. Top hand is going to reach up, but you're going to let it get nice and heavy, and you're going to think about letting that hip get heavy towards the earth. So the postures that were chosen tonight were a little bit leaning towards the idea of releasing stress. So focusing on the places that we hold stress in the body, and then how do we breathe into those spaces and let them go. So as you came into this side bend, notice if you picked up any tension in your jaw or if you started to clench your teeth together. And if so, see if you can just let your jaw soften just a little bit, take a nice deep breath and bring that breath focus into the side of your ribs. Take one more breath here. And then when you feel ready, start by pushing into that bottom hand. Let that help and assist you coming up. And then release your top hand, shrug out your shoulders, wiggle out your ribs just a little bit, move everything around just a little bit to find some release from that little bit of a dull ache that we sometimes find in those holds. And then once you feel like you've worked all that dull ache out, then we're going to take it into a seated fold. So if you like, you'll either sit on your blanket or prop the blanket underneath your knees, just depending on where your focus should be. So for some of us, sitting on the blanket just brings the floor up to us and it makes folding over just a little bit easier in the hips and low back. But for some of us, it's better to focus on keeping the knees in a bent position so that we're not zinging up into our glutes. So just know if you feel like your hamstrings are super tight and you often feel a little sensation in your butt when you forward fold, place the blanket under your knees. But if you find that your hips are a little cranky about forward folds, place it under your butt. So there you have that. And once you feel like you've got your blanket in a good position, we're going to take it right into a forward fold. And this is one of our 5-minute holds. So find a depth that feels sustainable so that you don't feel discomfort in this position. So fold yourself over, make some space for yourself. And then once you've got your way there, take a second to just soften into that position. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, slowly start to bring yourself out. So walk yourself up, take your time as you do it. And then as you come up, just give a couple of little shrugs of the shoulders, start there. And then we're going to step the feet in so that they're a little closer to the body, and then catch hold of your knees and move into a light little cat and cow, gently lifting the chest and gently rounding the back, and keep it small and light. We don't want to warm things up too much, and we're going to get back into the shoulders in a second. So just a little bit of gentle movement here. And then once you feel like you've kind of got all of that worked out and your spine feels a little bit softer, a little bit smoother, then we're going to step the hands behind, fingertips pointing towards the butt or fingertips pointing away. That's just going to be totally up to you, just whatever feels better to your wrists and your hands. And then we're going to take it into that Eastern stretch. So we're going to reach the hands back as far as feels good, a little squeeze between the shoulder blades, a little bit of a lift in the heart. And then once you've got your way there, this one's only a 3-minute hold. So you're just going to go to a depth that works good for you. That finding that lift in the chest and then just rearranging your wrists as needed so that your hands and your wrists feel comfortable. Head can drop back if that feels comfortable, or chin can tuck down towards the chest. It's going to switch up where you might feel a little sensation in between the shoulder blades. So head drop back, you're probably going to feel it a little bit more through the front of the heart space and the neck and the throat. Chin drop down and you're going to feel it a little bit in the back of the body in between the shoulder blades. So choose your own adventure there, whichever feels better. And then just make sure you're breathing comfortably. So we want to allow the breath to be our barometer. You should be breathing in nice and smooth and exhaling nice and slow. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, slowly bring yourself back up. So walk your hands in, then give your fingers a little wiggle, give your wrists a little gentle bit of movement, and rock your head a lot around. Wriggle your shoulders, move all those little places where you may have felt sensation. From here, we're going to find our way into a child's pose. So either child's pose with the knees wide or child's pose with the knees together, totally up to you, whichever you prefer. And then ask yourself, how do your knees feel and how do your ankles feel? So as you come around, maybe finding your way to start into a tabletop position, you can take your blanket, you can tuck it underneath your shins, and that's going to give a little release to your ankles. And then knees wide or knees close together, totally up to you. If it's more that your knees feel a little bit too tight and the compression happens in your knees, then you might choose to take your blanket and place it between the backs of your thighs and your calves, and that's going to create a little space for your knees. And then any other variation from there that might feel good. I personally like big toes together, knees wide. It gives me plenty of space for my belly and chest. But you choose the variation that feels good. And then once you feel like you've figured out where you want to go, walk yourself out to a depth that feels nice. Let your chest and forehead melt down. Let your arms be nice and soft. This is one of our 5-minute holds. So once you get there and you feel like you're in a good position, invite some softness in, but then ask yourself right away, does this feel good and sustainable? Are your knees happy? Does your back feel okay? And are you breathing comfortably? Nice slow inhalation and a nice slow exhalation. Take one more breath here. And then when you feel ready, slowly, 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 even before you come and lift your butt away, maybe wiggle your fingers, maybe give your toes a little wiggle, and then gently start to lift yourself up into a tabletop position. Take your time as you come up. If your knees are wide, maybe walk them in just a little bit, and then just take a couple of bops of the hips, like you're dropping your hips side to side. Nice. And then any other movement that might feel good. If it feels good to take a couple of cat cows or just some wriggles of the shoulders or wiggles of the hips, any little bit of movement, and especially if you cut off the circulation to your feet, you might choose to stretch one leg long and then the other. Anything that takes you out of that sensation. And then once you feel like you've kind of worked all of that stuff out, option number one is to take it into a Sphinx position. So we're going to come down onto our belly. But since the focus of tonight's practice is a little bit about stress relief, if you tend to have a little bit of stress that hits you in your digestive system, if that's kind of the way that your stress likes to work itself out in your body, maybe you'll take the blanket and just place it under the belly and just be in a flat belly down position. So you'll choose your own adventure here. If you're going for that belly down position minus the Sphinx, you're going to take that blanket just in a nice little lump right underneath your abdomen. So in the soft tissue of your belly. And then you're just going to kind of soften yourself over it. So this one is across the belly button, not along the hips like we had our pillow the other night. If you're going to go for the Sphinx position, but you want a little support, then you're going to take your blanket into a little bit of a mound and tuck it right up underneath your ribs and your solar plexus. So it's going to be supported underneath the ribs. Elbows and forearms are going to be down, but mostly that blanket can hold most of the weight here. So I could totally take my arms out of the way and my ribs are supported and I'm in a gentle back bend. So choose what feels good to you here. And then this is a 5-minute hold. So if you choose a little bit of both, I'll tell you at the halfway point. So if you like it under your belly, but then you also want a little bit of that back bend, you can have it both ways. Whatever position you choose, take a second to find some softness right away. Soften your shoulders as best you can. Soften your hands. Soften your jaw. We're not quite at that halfway point yet, but if you're going to stay in your Sphinx position, you might choose to add a little bit more sensation by bending the knees and letting the heels get heavy toward your butt. That's going to bring you a little bit into a little bit more flexion of the hips. So especially if you tend to sit all day and get a little bit compressed in the front pocket area, that's going to bring a little length and stretch to the front pocket area. But if you feel like the back bend, you've had quite enough and you don't need that stretch in the hips and you want to go for that belly, the blanket under the belly, now's the time to switch. So you might choose to just lift up, put the blanket under your belly, under the belly button area, and then soften all the way down. But if it feels good to have that little bit of compression in the low back, and that little stretch through the front of the hips, then heels towards the butt, still keeping the shoulders fairly soft. And then check in as you move those feet. Did you pick up tension in your jaw, or did you pick up a little tension between your eyes? And if so, see if you can soften there. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, start by releasing your feet. So if your heels were toward your butt, go ahead and let them float down to the ground. And then just give your butt and your hips a little wiggle waggle so your low back feels a bit lightened up. And then slowly and gently lift yourself up and off of your blanket, come up and away from it in any way that feels good. If you like a little tabletop just to kind of move the spine again, maybe you take it into your tabletop. Add a couple of gentle cat and cows, just some light bit of movement, nothing deep, nothing extreme. And then once you feel like you've kind of worked that out, spine feels a little bit more loosened up, we're going to take it and flip it over onto our backside. And since it's just in, then we can take it to the bed and take it into a figure four. I'm going to face my windows just to get that little setup, but then I'll flip around so that I'm facing out so that I can see the camera. But flip yourself around so that one foot can be on that wood post, and then the other leg is going to come across into that figure four. You can place your hand there and find a little bit of a deeper position, but it's not necessary. You'll probably get plenty of sensation just by letting your feet rest in that comfortable position. So find the depth that works good for you. And then once you found your way there, this is only a 3-minute hold. So we're not going to be here for the full 5 minutes. If you're working from the YouTube at home and you want to go for that figure four hold on your back, or if you have a wall available, just place your foot up on the wall, and that gives it that nice support, and you don't have to do too much efforting. So hopefully here you're allowing your body to let go a little bit. Let your shoulders be soft, legs as soft as they can be. take a second to just assess the shoulders and the front of your chest. If your shoulders feel like they're slightly rounded away from the floor, can you let your shoulders be as soft and heavy as possible, even allowing your arms to be wide out at your side to encourage that softness? Take one more breath here. And then slowly, 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 we're going to release. So unwind your legs in a way that works good for you, but then we're going to take it into a light little legs up the wall just to kind of wiggle it out. So you're going to bend and straighten your legs, almost like you're walking on the ceiling. So you're just going to move gently through the legs, just kind of work it all out. And then once you feel like you've kind of moved that stuff around, anything that you may have come across, we'll set it up to the other side. So working up against your bed or up against the wall, you're just going to place one foot on, other leg is going to come across, and here's where you land, nice and soft and heavy. You can rearrange your closeness to the wall or closeness of your leg just by simply repositioning your butt a little closer to the surface that it's resting against. Or if you're working from home from the YouTube, later on, you might choose to take it on figure four, reclined figure four with your hands laced through and holding it in a little bit closer. So find the shape that feels good to you. And then once you feel like you're there, start by just noticing your shoulders. Let your shoulders be soft and heavy. We're halfway through our hold on this side, so just do a quick little assess. Notice your shoulders. If they started to grip up or lift away from the floor, maybe encourage them to soften down a little bit. Maybe encourage your toes to be soft or your jaw to be soft. Any place where you might be holding just a little bit of tension and not even realize it. Take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, slowly start to release. Uncross your legs, float your feet up towards the ceiling, and then like you're trying to take a little walk on your ceiling, just walking one foot and then the other, inviting some gentle movement into the knees, maybe even a light little point and flex of the feet, any little bit of movement just to kind of move all that stuff around, soothe it out. And then once you feel like you've got some things soothed out, we're going to go into a supine twist. So maybe right knee into the chest, left leg nice and long towards the end of your mat. But if you were spun around to your bed, maybe take a second to flip yourself on around so that you're long ways on your mat. And then once you've got yourself there, then find your way to that supine twist. So one knee in towards the chest, other leg nice and long, and then bring that leg over and across. One of the nice things about having your blanket, you can take that blanket and tuck it underneath that knee. So your knee doesn't need to find the ground. The floor comes to meet you. You can support that leg in that twist, and then the other arm opens out nice and wide. Once you've got your way here, take a couple of nice deep breaths. Just allow the ribs to be soft and heavy. Take one more breath here. And then when you feel ready, start to gently draw your knee into your chest. The leg that's extended long, bring that knee into your chest as well. Once both knees are into the chest, take a gentle, gentle rock side to side. And then maybe if it feels good, take your knees and draw them in some tiny little circles. Go in one direction. Take your circles, draw them the other way. And then if you took your blanket with you and had it tucked up under your knee, just grab hold of your blanket, pass it over and across. And then when you feel ready, take a supine twist to the other side. So left knee into the chest, right leg is going to go nice and long. And you're going to take that left knee over and across the body. You get that blanket tucked up under your leg so it feels nice and supported. Other arm opens wide, and then come back to your breath. Noticing the breath in the rib cage, allowing your shoulders to be soft. Take one more breath here. And then when you feel ready, start by pulling that knee back in towards your chest. Bring the other knee into meet. Maybe take a gentle rock side to side. And then maybe take those knees in some gentle circles going in one direction. And then maybe take those knees and go the other way. Nice. And then from here, we're going to start to find our way into our Shavasana. So ask your body, where would be your best Shavasana? Would it feel good to come to constructive rest, knees in towards each other, feet nice and wide? Would it feel good to have a little bit more opening through the heart and the chest, especially if you tend to hold tension up in the chest and the upper body? You might choose to take your blanket, roll it up into a little bit of a mound, and then you're going to place it underneath the shoulder blades. So as much of a mound as might feel good, you're going to place it so that your shoulder blades can lay right across that little blanket mound, and then let your back relax over it. That's going to open up the chest and the shoulders, but it's not quite as relaxing as just a flat back Shavasana. So if you feel like that tension in the upper body is there and wants to be addressed, this might be a nice way to go. Legs can be a constructive rest, legs can be long, anything that might feel good to you there, or any other variation of the body that would feel good and let you find a little bit of stillness. Once you have your body in a nice, happy position, eyes closed down or just soften your gaze, and then see if you can just let your focus and awareness come right down to your toes and your feet. Start by noticing your toes. If your toes are active or still moving just a little bit, maybe encourage them to just chill out. Let them be soft and heavy. Let the tops of your feet be soft and heavy. Soles of the feet soft and heavy, heels nice and heavy into the ground. And then notice your calves and your shins. If the muscles feel like they're still active, see if you can let them go. Notice your knees. If you're gripped in your kneecaps, maybe let your knees soften. Allow the thigh muscles to relax. Allow your hips to be soft and heavy into the earth. And then tune into your abdomen. Notice your belly button. So sometimes we have a tendency to still want to hold the belly button in. So if you're holding your abdominal muscles just to keep that good posture, to keep that look of a firm abdomen, now think about letting the belly go. Same thing for the hips. If you tend to hold a little tension in the hips or gripping those P muscles, like you want to just hold and retain the pelvis a little bit, also encourage a little bit of letting go there. Then think about letting the ribs be soft and heavy. Chest and shoulders soft and heavy. Arms and hands soft and heavy. You always have the option to stay in your Shavasana as long as you like. But if you feel called to do so, start to gently wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes. We're going to stay in this reclined position for a few moments. So if your legs are extended nice and long, maybe slowly start to wake up the ankles, move the knees just a little bit so that you can find a gentle way of stepping your feet into a nice bent knee position. Once you've got your way into a bent knee position, take a second to reset your tailbone, reset your hips, reset your shoulders so everything feels good and gentle and solid on the ground. And then once you've got your way there, we're going to take light little fists right around those bony hip bones or those protruding hip bones. And we're going to take 3 tiny light taps to those hip bones. So just a light little tap, tap, tap to the hips. And then bring your palms together, fire up your palms, bring a little bit of warmth and heat into the hands. Once you feel like your hands are nice and warm, we're going to place those hands right back onto those hip bones. Close your eyes down, take a nice deep breath in. Slow breath out. Light little fists, we're going to take a tap to the low belly. So underneath the belly button, but now above those hip points, 3 light little taps. Just a tap, tap, tap to the low belly, and then fire up those palms. Get them nice and warm. Once you've created a gentle bit of warmth in the palms, place the open palms back on the low belly. Close your eyes down. Take a nice deep breath in. Slow breath out. Light fists, and we're going to take it to the solar plexus. So give a 3 taps to the solar plexus, so that space above the belly button but below the ribs. Give a tap, tap, tap. Bring the palms together, fire up the palms, get them nice and warm. Once you feel like your palms are nice and warm, open palm right over the solar plexus area. Close your eyes down. Take a nice deep breath in. Slow breath out. Light fist, take it right to the heart space or the front of the chest, and we're just going to give 3 light taps to the heart space, and then fire up the palms. Get them nice and warm. One hand on top of the other, stack them right on top of your heart. Take a nice deep breath in. Slow breath out. We're going to keep the hands stacked on top of the heart, but we're going to bring our awareness up to the throat. And then we're going to take 3 humming breaths here. So take an inhale. And as you exhale, let a nice low hum. Big breath in. Exhale a low hum. One more breath when you're ready. Big inhale. Exhale a low hum. Once you've completed that nice low hum, start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, and then maybe take it into a big good morning stretch. Stretch your arms up and overhead. Walk your legs nice and long to the end of your mat, and then reach through your fingers, reach through your toes. Take a nice big breath back into your body. Awesome. And then to finish up that last third eye center and the crown of the head, we're going to come up to a seated position. So take your time, nice and slow, nice and gentle. Bring your way up to a comfortable seated position. And you might even choose to sit on your blanket or sit on a pillow, anything that makes you feel really nice and comfortable. If you're wearing glasses, take a second to take those glasses off. We're going to fire up the palms to get them nice and warm. And then heels of the hands into the eyes. So we're going to cup the eyes. Let your head lean forward just a little bit. Allow your forehead to rest into your hands, eyes into the heels of the hands. Take a nice deep breath in. Slow breath out. Gently lift your head up away from your hands, and then we're going to take our nice piano fingers right to the crown of the head, and we're just going to give a couple of gentle taps right to the crown of the head. If it feels comfortable to do so, just for a moment here, close your eyes down. Give a couple of more good taps right to the crown of your head. And then once you feel like you've just tuned in enough, you've noticed that vibration, you're going to release your hands right back on top of your heart. Take a nice deep breath in, breathing in love and gratitude for yourself, for your mind, for your body, and the time that you take to take care of yourself. Take one more nice big inhale, maybe even allow the shoulders to lift a little bit, maybe even scrunch up your face. And then as you exhale, soften your face, soften your shoulders, and think about letting go of anything else you're holding on to that won't serve you through the rest of your night. And then when you feel ready, gently lift up through the top of your head, gently open your eyes. I bow to you. Happy Monday. You're amazing.